Okay, that should be a lot better. There we go. Hello and welcome to an unusual episode breakdown. Today is October 29th. I just released the previous episode breakdown. I believe currently it has 4 views. This one is unusual because this is the first one that I'm live streaming. Well, it's the first one I'm live streaming ever since I stopped live streaming these. They used to be just behind the scenes or behind the memes, I forget what it was called, where I would talk about all the things that I did, or I would talk about things as I'm doing them. And then I haven't been streaming myself making any memes as of late because I've been doing the episode breakdowns and I've been busy with my personal life and my job. But this is the first episode breakdown in the modern format where I am live streaming it. I'm thinking about maybe live streaming these in the future. Most, but not all of them. It just depends on how I'm doing. It's going to take a lot of setup to be doing, a lot more setup than it already does, but I'll see if this is something that I feel is worthwhile, especially if people actually tune in to watch. If people are tuning in and watching, then I'll go ahead and continue this, but if people aren't really too interested in this, I'll just continue recording it offline because there's no point having all that added stress and effort for nothing. Although I make all these videos and they aren't all that popular anyway. So this time I'm actually going to remember to talk about the thumbnail at the very beginning before I talk about the inspiration and things like that. So the thumbnail here is a very simple one. I took this image of Zamasu from, I don't remember which episode, and I looked up this image of Trunks. You can even see, I guess this was drawn by someone because their watermark is there. I didn't catch that the first time, but I just cut those out and put them together, and that was the thumbnail. Pretty straightforward. The reason that I made this is because I loved this song that's used in the actual episode. This is from the Halo Reach trailer, and I have never forgotten it. Every few months I'll remember it, and I'll look for it online, but it was never released anywhere, and so I couldn't actually find it. So for several years, I would just randomly remember it, and I would look to see if it was ever released, hoping, but it never was. Until recently. I looked online and I saw that someone had actually made a rendition of it, a cover of it. And it's, as far as I can tell, really good. It's really close to the original. So a few days before I started working on this, I looked and I saw that someone had made the cover, and it brought back all these memories of nostalgia and happiness with Halo. So I immediately started working on this because I was just so happy to hear it again. I also felt like this song was very mournful, but also very hopeful. And who better to embody that than Trunks? More importantly, I made this because at the time, I was incredibly sad because there was a lot of terrible things that were going on with my life. So I made this video to try and make myself feel better. It was supposed to be a video about how people are terrible and they do terrible things, and some people live very awful lives. And in spite of that, we still strive to better ourselves. In spite of all the bad things that happen to us, we still try and overcome them in spite of that. So I made this video and it did make me feel a little bit better, but things kept getting worse and I still kept feeling terrible. And so I made the other video, number 102, Future Trunks, the Time Traveler's Punishment, which we will talk about in 2 episode breakdowns. The script for this was written the method for writing it was a little unusual. So when I was writing this, I didn't have any of the visuals in my mind. I knew what I wanted Trunks to say, and I, quote unquote, wrote the scripts. And I talked before about how me writing the script is just me thinking about the script over and over again. I don't actually write anything down, but I knew that I wanted Trunks to praise Gohan's character because he really is one of the most wholesome, good. He's one of the most undeniably good people in this story. But I didn't have any visuals in mind. Usually what happens is I hear a song, I think, man, this song makes me feel like blank. I want to see a story that also is about blank. And I write the words. Again, I don't actually write anything down, but I write the words and I think of the visuals at the same time. For this one, I didn't have that. I had the words in my head, but I didn't actually have any visuals to go along with this. So essentially, I just started scanning through Dragon Ball and I was like, okay, well, I know I want him to praise Gohan, so I guess I'll just look for bits of Gohan doing good, because then it's like, oh, well, all these good things he's saying about humanity is embodied in Gohan. Gohan kind of taught him all that. And then I started thinking, okay, well, let me think about all of the who will be there for the bad stuff. Well, who is in Trunks' life? There's Vegeta, his father. There's Frieza, whom he killed, and there are the androids. I feel like they are the most important people, most impactful people in his life. Of course, we didn't include Bulma, but she doesn't really fit in with this because I don't want him talking about bad things for Bulma. So that's what I did. This one, if you want to go ahead, if you're watching on YouTube, you can take a look and see that this is going to be a very short episode breakdown, probably even shorter than the Attack on Titan one I just posted, because I don't have a ton to add to this. Like I said, this was mostly supposed to make me feel better, so I just added a lot of things that, and I didn't have any visuals, so I did a lot of things that were meant to just make me feel better.
俺が強くなる必要なんてなかったんだ。もう十分だ。君の気持ちは十分伝わった。もう迷いはない。ここからはとても厳しい戦いになります。でも
This is the only thing really that I feel I needed to change. In the original, I didn't reverse this, and I feel like I should have. In the original, it looks like he's letting go of the trigger for some reason. So I wanted to reverse it so that you could actually see him depressing the trigger like that rather than letting go of the trigger. I don't know what they were doing in the original, but that's just how it was. Anyway, he doesn't end up, I don't have the full clip here, but he doesn't end up killing this guy anyway. Actually, oh, I cut some of this together. Well, he doesn't end up killing the guy anyway, so it doesn't matter.
でも奴らは俺が食い止めます。今は理由は自分に励まされるとはな。君か。不思議な人ですね。
So I had wanted a Gohan from every saga, and Great Saiyaman saving the plane here was just perfect. It really did well to encapsulate the, or to it really went well with the music, is what I'm trying to say. How it's very dramatic here. I will say the only issue I had with this is that Trunks doesn't see Gohan at this time, but I don't have a lot of other parts where I can use Gohan. I've already used Saiyan Saga, Namek Saga, Cell Saga, so I just have to use Buu Saga. So I figured it's okay. I thought about using Future Gohan here, but the clips of Future Gohan that I felt were actually good and usable, you can see all of them right here, because there weren't too many where he's not fighting or he's not with Bulma or something like that. So I needed something that also goes with the text that was going on at that time.
不思議な人ですね。
The characters yelling here, you'll see it's the kids, but it's actually split up here. Originally, it was all together, and if you listen closely, you can actually hear the difference between the audio and the white noise that occur, or the black noise that occurs whenever the audio isn't playing. You can also visually see it here, but see if you can hear it.
あなたは何者ですか
You notice?
なんとか守りきれたかもっともっと強くならないとあいつは戦うたびにどんどんパワーアップしていったんです
Zamasu's face here reminded me of Lemon Grab from Adventure Time, and so I figured, okay, I'll just throw in unacceptable. It's meant to be a reference to that, but aside from that, there wasn't really too much more for me to add.
いえこれでも奴には通用しません助け合って生きるそれが俺たち人間だ
The sound effects here were difficult for me to find. Let me see if I can turn off the voices really quickly and the music. But the sound effects for this segment, I had to go and grab them, sure, but there are also parts in the upcoming bits where I just went to Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 and they recreated this very faithfully. And so I just took I lowered the character voice lines, I lowered the music all the way down, and I just let the sound effects, and then I recorded that and matched it up here. You can see there are still a few sound effects I had to add myself, but especially right here, the ones that just say clip sound effects, like Trunks slicing Zamasu and Zamasu's yell, are just straight from Xenoverse 2.
助け合って生きるそれが俺たち人間だ俺はみんなを助けたかっただけだこれが俺たち人間の力だ
So that, the sword breaking, just because I couldn't think of anything better than that. Now that I think about it, now that I'm hearing it, it kind of sounds like breaking a plate or ceramic, but I couldn't think of anything satisfying enough, so I just went and grabbed the actual bit.
人間の力だ貴様の正義など知ったことか
Zamasu's scream, I had to get from the actual cutscene. There was no way I was going to be satisfied with any other scream because it just isn't the same. If I have him doing a battle cry with if I have him shouting in anger, it's not the same as this pain scream that he has. Also, the actual sound effects of Trunks splitting him from the dick up is not something that I can easily replace with anything else. One thing that I did have difficulty with was getting Trunks' yell here, just because at this time I didn't have a lot of Trunks voice lines. I specifically went through looking for voice lines for Trunks, and so I had to go and find a battle cry for him, but these were basically all my Trunks lines at this time.
貴様の正義など知ったことか
Okay, so that's about it. This is a very easy one for me to start with. Like I said, I'm streaming this, so if you're watching on YouTube, you can always check my VOD channel to see where I upload the original and see how that compares to the edited version if you're so inclined. Otherwise, I said in the previous one that I was going back and trying to add this blank space here for my YouTube videos, where I say go to the next one, go to the previous one, things like that. Let's see. We are at 14 minutes. Like I said, this is officially the shortest episode breakdown that I've done. This was a pretty good one to practice the stream on, The next one will be Dragon Ball Z except Goku speedruns the Saiyan Saga. I will see if I can upload this episode breakdown in a week as opposed to in 2 weeks. I'll see if I can upload this next Sunday. I'll see if I can stream myself talking about the Goku speedruns the Saiyan Saga one. And then I'll upload that in 2 weeks instead. We'll just see. Okay? So thank you for joining me. Oh, I've also been practicing my new outro image screen, so take a look at it.